For thousands of years, the galaxy carried whispers of a cursed place. It was a planet that no one dared to touch, no empire dared to claim, and no scientist dared to study for long. They called it KHARON-7. Legends said its storms could strip the hull off starships in minutes. Its oceans boiled with acid tides. Mountains erupted without warning, spewing ash that choked entire valleys. The air itself was poison to most species, but the worst were the living things. The beasts of Charon 7 were said to be nightmares made flesh. Creatures larger than armored carriers roamed the plains. Insects with razor-sharp wings could cut down soldiers in seconds. Even the plants hunted flesh roots and vines moving like snakes, tearing apart anything unlucky enough to step too close. The Galactic archives describe the world with a single word: uninhabitable. No colony had ever lasted there. No explorer had ever returned with good news. The strongest warriors from the most feared empires, the GL, the Orlek, even the warlike Gatheri, had all failed to tame it. Every attempt ended the same way: silence, wreckage, death. And so, the galaxy turned its eyes away. Charon 7 was locked behind warning beacons. Star maps marked it with a crimson skull symbol. Ships kept their distance, choosing longer routes to avoid even passing nearby. It became a ghost story, a name parents whispered to frighten their children. Behave, or we'll send you to Charon 7. But then, everything changed. It began with a transmission from a border scout ship. The vessel Derexy's Wing had been monitoring a nearby trade lane when its sensors picked up strange energy signatures from the cursed system. At first, the crew thought it was just storms. Charon 7 was full of them, but the readings were too organized, deliberate. Power grids, orbital stations, ships moving in formation. At first, the captain thought it was a trick, some error in the sensors. He sent a probe. What came back shook them all. The probe's images showed cities, enormous cities built in the middle of deadly terrain. Towers of steel and glass rising from storm-racked plains. Factories lit with burning furnaces. Roads filled with machines that moved faster than beasts. And strangest of all, the beings walking those roads were not like any alien ever seen before. They were upright, bilateral, fragile-looking, small compared to the predators around them. Yet they moved without fear, taming the land as if it belonged to them. The name entered the Galactic archives for the first time: humans. When the report reached the Galactic Council, chaos followed. Representatives from 100 species shouted over each other. Insectoid Karth demanded answers. No fragile creature could live there. This is false data, Scaled Gore hissed with fury. If it is true, then they are abominations. Some called it a hoax. Others feared it was a trick by a rival empire. Yet the images were undeniable. Independent probes confirmed the same thing: cities, machines. Starships all rising from the most dangerous planet ever known. One counselor, an elder from the Threx, whispered the words that made the chamber fall silent. If they survived Charon 7, what else are they capable of? Outside the council chambers, the news spread like wildfire. Traders carried whispers from world to world. Soldiers heard tales in barracks across the galaxy. They say the humans drink poison water, and it does not harm them. I heard their children wrestle beasts bigger than tanks. They don't die from wounds. They heal faster than we can. Some say they laugh in battle, even when outnumbered. Each retelling grew darker, wilder. Some dismissed them as myths. Others began to worry. What kind of species could thrive where even the strongest predators fell? Among those who doubted was Admiral Korath of the Ver Dominion, a towering figure with silver-gray skin and eyes like burning coals. He had fought in dozens of wars and crushed countless rebellions. To him, this human story was nothing more than childish fear. He stood before his war council and slammed his clawed hand onto the table. Enough of these ghost tales, he growled. No weak, soft-bodied creature can tame Charon 7. It is a fabrication, a trick. I will prove it myself. His officers hesitated. Even among the ruthless Ver, No one willingly went near the final Deathworld, but none dared to question him aloud. Korath leaned forward, his voice a low snarl. If such a species exists, they are mine to break. If not, I will silence these rumors forever. The council could not stop him. The Vare Dominion was powerful, feared even among the great empires. When Admiral Korath prepared his fleet, no one dared to challenge his authority. And so, thousands of ships began their journey to the cursed system. But curiosity spread faster than warships. Independent explorers, smugglers, and mercenaries also moved toward Karin 7, each hoping to glimpse the truth. Some wanted profit, others glory, and a few simply wanted to see if the impossible could be real. They all sought the same thing. Answers, meanwhile. On Karin 7, the humans continued their lives unaware that the galaxy now stared at them with growing fear. Cities buzzed with energy. Fleets patrolled the skies. Armies trained, hardened by the brutal lessons of their homeworld. To them, survival was not remarkable. It was simply life. Had never known a world that did not try to kill them every day, and soon, their very strength would be tested, not against storms or beasts, but against the combined fear of an entire galaxy. The Galactic Council had a saying, "The final death world belongs to no one." But now, that saying was broken. Someone lived there, someone thrived there, and as Admiral Korath's fleet drew closer, a chilling question spread from star to star. If the humans conquered the deadliest world in existence, what chance did the rest of the galaxy have against them? HFY Dominion expected savages, expected caves, spears, and fire. Instead, when Admiral Korath's fleet emerged from hyperspace near Karin 7, they saw something no one in the galaxy could believe: human fleets waiting in perfect formation. Orbital stations glowing with power, and eyes staring back without fear. For the first time in his long career, Admiral Korath felt something he had never known before. Doubt. The fleet dropped out of warp with the thunder of 1,000 engines. Korath stood tall on the bridge of his flagship Iron Fang, his crimson cloak trailing behind him. His officers whispered nervously as the sensors updated their displays. The cursed world filled the main view screen, the planet wrapped in storm. Systems so violent they looked like glowing scars across the surface. Lightning arched from cloud to cloud, rivers of molten fire traced across continents, and great cyclones spun across its oceans. "Such chaos," one officer muttered.
Ow.
"No life can exist here." But then, the readings changed. The storm clouds broke just enough to reveal glittering lights below. Cities, towers piercing the black sky, glowing with power grids. Roads of metal cutting across deserts, entire continents pulsing with signs of industry. And then came the voice. A calm, steady voice echoed through the fleet's comms. It spoke in flawless standard, the common language of the galaxy. "This is the United Terran Defense Command. You are trespassing in restricted space. State your intentions." The bridge of the Iron Fang fell silent. Officers looked at one another in shock. The signal was strong, unshaken by storms, broadcasted with confidence. Admiral Korath's jaw tightened. He had expected animalistic growls, or perhaps nothing at all. Instead, the voice carried discipline, strength, authority. "Reply," he ordered. "As come, officer. Open the channel." Korath stepped forward, his tone sharp as a blade. "I am Admiral Korath of the Vare Dominion. This system is forbidden. You are trespassing on a death world. Identify yourselves, or be destroyed." Pause followed, and the human voice returned, steady and cold. "We are human, and this world is our home. It always has been." Murmurs erupted across the bridge. Human. No species had ever claimed Karin 7. To live here was impossible. Korath narrowed his burning eyes. "Most, tasting the word, a fragile species dares to stand against me." His officers waited for the order and attack, a demonstration of power. But something in that calm human voice unsettled even the admiral. The humans did not sound afraid. A ripple of motion appeared across the void. Dozens of ships detached from orbit around the planet, sleek and black, moving with precision. Their designs were unlike anything the Vare had seen before, built not for beauty or intimidation, but for function, survival, and absolute lethality. One officer gasped, "Admiral, the ships are built for war." Another shouted, "Weapons are charging." The bridge lights flickered as human warships locked onto them. Their hulls glowed with blue energy fields, their cannons shifting with mechanical precision, and still the human voice remained calm. "Leave our world, or test the strength that Karen 7 forged in us." Admiral Korath clenched his claws against the armrest of his command chair. Would not be threatened by a new species. His pride, the pride of the Dominion, demanded he act. "Prepare weapons," he growled. "We will break them." But as his command echoed, he noticed something strange. His officers hesitated. Their eyes darted nervously to the human ships. Fear flickered across their expressions. Even the hardened soldiers of the Dominion felt it. The humans did not back down. They stood like predators, quiet, watchful, dangerous. The standoff stretched into silence. Both sides aimed their weapons, waiting for the other to make the fatal mistake. And then, one of Korath's captains fired a plasma salvo. The glowing bolts of energy cut through space, streaking toward the lead human ship. The moment they struck, the galaxy learned the first terrifying truth about humanity. The human shields absorbed the blow, bending the plasma like ripples in water. Then, without hesitation, the human ship fired back. A single shot, a single beam of blinding blue energy. It cut through the attacking Vare cruiser as if it were made of paper. In an instant, the massive warship was going to split in two, its wreckage. Drifting in silence, the bridge of the Iron Fang froze. Korath's officers stared in horror. They had expected savages with crude weapons. Instead, the humans wielded technology that rivaled the oldest empires. "Impossible," one whispered. "They cannot. They should not." But the proof floated before them. Wreckage, fire, silence, Korath's chest burned with fury, but deep inside, something colder crept into his mind. The humans had not panicked. They had not shouted. They had not unleashed wild barrages. They had fired once, calm, precise, efficient, like predators who knew exactly what they were doing. The human voice returned, steady as ever. "That was your only warning. Leave our skies. Leave our world, or the next volley will not miss." Silence filled the bridge. The officers looked at Korath, waiting for his order. The Admiral's pride screamed to attack, to prove dominance. But his instincts whispered something he could not admit. For the first time he wondered, what if the humans truly belonged here? Word of the encounter spread like wildfire. Smugglers who had shadowed the fleet transmitted, recordings to every corner of the galaxy. Millions watched the image of a human warship, tearing apart a Dominion cruiser with one strike. Millions heard the human's voice, their warning, their calm defiance. Fear spread faster than fire. The council chambers filled again, voices shouting in panic. They must be destroyed before they spread. No, if they defeated the Dominion so easily, what chance do we have? This is worse than we imagined. They are not prey. They are predators. The galaxy, once so certain of its place, now faced a truth it could not ignore. Humanity had revealed itself, and it was stronger than anyone had ever dreamed. On the bridge of the Iron Fang, Admiral Korath stared at the humans' fleet, his pride burning, his claws shaking. The humans did not advance. They did not retreat. They simply waited, daring him to make another move. And in that silence, he understood something that chilled him to his very core. The galaxy's deadliest world had not broken them. It had made them stronger, and if they could survive there, no empire, no fleet, no galaxy could ever truly stand against them. The galaxy thought it had seen war. It had seen fleets clash, empires fall, and worlds burn. But nothing prepared them for what happened when humanity was tested. The first shot had already destroyed a Dominion cruiser. Most expected the humans to retreat after proving their point. Instead, The humans stood their ground, waiting in silence. Admiral Korath of the Vare Dominion refused to accept humiliation. His voice thundered across the fleet. They are only one species. Crush them. Show the galaxy what happens when prey dares to bare its teeth. Dozens of warships, massive, dreadnoughts bristling with cannons, cruisers releasing swarms of fighters, destroyers cutting through the void like blades. The power of an empire focused on a single world. From orbit, the humans watched calmly. Their ships did not scatter. They did not panic. They moved in precise formation, every vessel shifting as though controlled by one will. On the bridge of the Iron Fang, Admiral Korath grinned as the battle began. They will break, he growled. They must break. But deep inside, his officers no longer shared his confidence. The Dominion fired first. Plasma storms streaked through space, painting the black void in fire. Explosions lit the darkness as wave after wave of energy smashed into the human shields. But then came the shock. The human shields bent and shimmered, absorbing impacts that should have torn ships apart. Energy rippled across their hulls like waves across water, dissipating into nothing. Impossible, the Vare officer whispered. No shield can take that kind of punishment. But the humans did not just endure, they answered. Human cannons glowed with a deep blue light. Then, in perfect unison, their fleet opened fire. The beams were not wild or chaotic. Each strike was targeted, precise, surgical. Where the Dominion fired hundreds of shots, hoping to overwhelm, the humans fired once and destroyed. A cruiser vanished in a burst of fire. A squadron of fighters was shredded in seconds. A dreadnought's engines exploded, leaving it drifting helpless in the void. Each shot was a lesson. The humans wasted nothing. Every trigger pulled meant death. On the bridge of the Iron Fang, Admiral Korath's grin faded. His claws dug into the armrests of his chair. His officers shifted uneasily, whispers growing louder. They fight like predators. They knew exactly where to strike, reading our tactics before we move. Korath silenced them with a roar. Do not fear them. They are nothing but upstarts. Press the attack. But already fear had spread. The Dominions. Greatest strength, their belief in dominance, was crumbling. The humans fought differently than any species the galaxy had ever seen. They did not rely on brute force like the Orlek. They did not swarm like the Karth. They did not hide behind shields like the Zell. Instead, they adapted. Every volley, every movement, every maneuver, humans adjusted instantly. The Dominion formation. Pushed too close, humans broke it apart with precision fire. If fighters swarmed, human ships shifted patterns. Weaving through them like dancers, it was as though the humans had fought this battle 1,000 times before, because in truth, Bayadan Karen 7, every day was war. Every storm, every beast. Every disaster taught them survival, strategy, adaptation. To the humans, this was not chaos. This was home. Then came the moment that changed everything. 3 Dominion destroyers cut behind the human formation, seeking to flank their fleet. It was a maneuver that had ended countless battles. But before they could fire, the human flagship spoke across open comms. Predictable, engaging counterstrike. The destroyers froze. How could the humans know? But then the flagship's cannons lit the void. 3 perfect shots. 3 ships destroyed in less than 3 seconds. The Dominion fleet faltered. Across the galaxy, smuggler ships broadcasting the fight transmitted the footage. Billions of eyes watched as one empire's pride was torn apart by a species no one had even known existed weeks ago, and whispers spread like fire. If this is their first battle, what happens when they fight for real? Korath roared, his pride burning hotter than the fires outside. All ships forward, ram them if you must. I will not be shamed by prey. His officers obeyed, though their voices shook. Dominion warships surged desperately, closing the gap for brutal, close-range combat. But the humans welcomed it. At close range, their ships revealed terrifying new weapons, magnetic rail cannons, missile swarms, and cutting-edge point defenses. Dominion ships that survived the first volley were shredded at knife's edge range. In moments, the void became a graveyard. Then the human fleet stopped firing. Silence spread across the battlefield. Gudge drifted through the void, the Dominion fleet broken and burning. It's only a handful of ships, including the Iron Fang, remained functional. And then the humans spoke. This is your lesson. We are not prey. We are the children of the final death world. If you come again, we will not stop at defense. We will burn your empire to ash. The words echoed across every surviving ship. Korath's officers lowered, their eyes shamed and silent. Even Korath himself could not speak. For the first time in his long, merciless career, he understood the weight of fear. The battle spread across every network, every screen, every outpost. Billions watched as a primitive species stood against one of the strongest empires. And the whispers grew louder. They survived the final death world. They broke the Dominion. If they can do this now, what will they become tomorrow? The galaxy had thought humans were a rumor. Now they were a reality too dangerous to ignore. On the bridge of the Iron Fang, Admiral Korath's pride shattered as he stared at the human fleet, still standing, still unbroken. The humans had not pursued. They had not destroyed every last ship. They had only made their point, and that point echoed like a death sentence across the stars. The humans do not fight for conquest. They fight to survive. And nothing in the galaxy is deadlier than a species that has survived the final death world. The battle was over. The void was silent. Dominion warships, once symbols of absolute power, now drifted as broken husks. Fire still burning in the blackness of space. The human fleet remained in formation, untouched, calm, unshaken, and across the galaxy, millions of eyes had witnessed it. The fight had been broadcast live, carried by smugglers, pirates, traitors, people who thought they were only filming another one-sided slaughter. Instead, it filmed history, and now the galaxy could not stop whispering. In the dark corners of spaceports, voices murmured. They called it the final death world, the planet where nothing survives. Yet somehow, they thrived. No army has ever broken a Dominion fleet. But the humans did it in one battle. At first, many dismissed it as propaganda. Some claimed the footage was fake. But then, reports trickled in, Dominion ships returning, shattered. Fleets limping back into dock, soldiers with hollow eyes refusing to speak of what they had seen. And, slowly, disbelief turned to fear. On the capital world of the Vaer Dominion, silence hung heavy in the great council chambers. Admiral Korath stood before the rulers of the Dominion. His one-sprout armor cracked, his voice rough with shame. They are not prey, he growled. They are predators, forged in the fire of a world that should have killed them. We threw a fleet at them. They broke it like glass. The High Regent slammed a clawed hand onto the table. Lies no primitive Deathworlders could defy. The Dominion. But another counselor spoke softly. And yet, they did. We have the wreckage. We have the reports. Admiral Korath did not exaggerate. Humanity is real, and they are dangerous. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some demanded vengeance. Others whispered of retreat. For the first time in centuries, the Dominion's leaders felt something they had never known. Doubt across distant sectors. Stories twisted and grew. Some claimed humans had weapons that bent the laws of physics. Others swore humans had allied with ancient, forgotten gods. One rumor even claimed the humans were not flesh at all, but machines born from the ruins of a dead civilization. And yet, one truth never changed. Humans had stood against the Dominion and won. Children in mining colonies whispered the word human like a prayer. Mercenaries spoke it like a curse. To the enslaved races of the galaxy, it became a spark of hope. Far from the Dominion, in a hidden council of rival empires, leaders gathered. The scaled Sithis hissed in frustration. If humanity grows unchecked, they will shatter the balance. The Dominion has weakened. We must not let this species rise. The insectoid Kareth clicked their mandibles. You saw the footage? If we strike them, we risk the same fate as the Dominion. Perhaps it is wiser to leave them alone. But then the hooded Geel emissary spoke, his voice cold and sharp. Leave them alone? No. The humans have revealed their hand too soon. They're strong, yes. But strength draws enemies. We must strike before they become unstoppable. And so, in the shadows of the galaxy, plans began to form. Plans to watch, to study, and if possible, to destroy. On the streets of neutral colonies. Taverns filled with laughter, songs, and hope. For the first time in living memory, ordinary people had seen an empire bleed. They're not like us, one miner said, his voice full of awe. They're not afraid of power. They don't bow. They fight. Another leaned closer, lowering his voice. I heard they come from a world where even the air tries to kill you. A world where predators hunt at night and storms tear mountains apart. If they can survive that, what chance do we have? The crowd fell silent. No one dared to answer, and the humans, they did not boast. They did not send fleets across the stars, or demand tribute, or carve empires from the ashes. They simply returned to their world. They rebuilt their ships. They trained their soldiers. They strengthened their defenses too. The galaxy, this silence was more terrifying than any victory speech, because silence meant patience. Silence meant planning. Silence meant they were not done. Admiral Korath returned to his quarters that night. But sleep refused to come. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw them, the humans, standing calm in their ships, eyes cold, movements precise. Not prey. Not prey at all. Predators. He had led countless wars. Had crushed rebellions, burned worlds, and slaughtered billions. But never once had he felt what he felt now. Fear and worse, respect. Because deep inside, he knew. The humans had not even fought at full strength. They had only shown enough to send a message. And that message was clear. This was only the beginning. The galaxy whispered in fear. Some prayed for human friendship. Others plotted human destruction. But none could ignore them anymore. The final. Deathworld had given birth to a species no one had expected. A species that had survived the impossible. A species that had tasted victory against an empire. And somewhere, in the silence of their dark world, humanity prepared for what was to come. The galaxy thought it had seen war. It hadn't. Not yet. The galaxy no longer whispered. It shouted. Every government, every guild, every warlord all spoke of the same thing. Humanity. They had broken the Dominion's fleet. They had risen from the final Deathworld. They had survived storms, beasts, and fire that should have erased them from existence. And worst of all, they had done it without boasting, without conquest, without warning to the galaxy's rulers. That silence was unbearable. So they began to prepare, not for peace, but for war. In a hidden fortress orbiting a black star, the leaders of rival empires gathered. The scaled Sithis coiled around the council table, voice dripping with venom. The Dominion has been humbled, but do not think this makes humanity an ally. They are a disease. They will spread. The insectoid Korath clicked angrily. And yet, if we strike them now, we risk sharing the Dominion's fate. You saw the recordings. Their weapons tore through ships as if they were paper. The GL emissaries who'd hit his face, but his voice was sharp as a blade. Weapons can be copied. Strength can be measured. Fear can be broken. What matters is that we act before they grow. The Dominion failed because they underestimated humanity. We will not. The chamber fell silent, every ruler calculating risk and survival. Finally, the Sithis leader hissed, "Then it is decided. We watch them, we test them, and when the time comes, crush them." On the Dominion capital, High Regent Vera stood at the balcony of her palace. Below, the city burned with riots. Markets had collapsed, citizens panicked, and whispers of rebellion spread like wildfire. Admiral Korath knelt before her. His armor was repaired, but the shame in his voice had not healed. "They will come again," he said, eyes hard. "And if we do not prepare, they will destroy us." The regent's claws clenched the railing. I will not be remembered as the ruler who lost the Dominion's pride, ready every fleet, forge new weapons, spread lies if we must butt the galaxy. Must not see our fear. But no propaganda could hide the truth. Soldiers had seen the humans. Once fear infects an army, it never leaves. While empires schemed, spies began their work. A band of smugglers was hired to slip into human space. They expected to find primitive colonies, weak defenses, easy prey. Instead, they found something else. On Karen 7, vast factories carved into mountains belched smoke into the skies. Giant machines stripped minerals from stone while human engineers worked tirelessly. Fleets of ships small, fast, and heavily armed patrolled the skies. The smugglers barely escaped.
Ow.
One ship was captured, its crew interrogated. The survivors carried a single message back to their masters. Humanity is building. They are not hiding. They are preparing. While the rulers conspired, the oppressed whispered different words. On mining colonies where workers lived as slaves, hope stirred. If humans can break the Dominion, a miner whispered, voice trembling, then maybe someone can break our chains. In pirate havens, mercenaries laughed. I'll take human contracts, at least they pay. And in the hidden corners of the galaxy, small rebellions began to spark, rebellions that carried one word on their banners: humanity. On Earth's restored colonies, leaders gathered in secret war councils. A young commander spoke first. The galaxy will not leave us alone. Already they send spies. Already they plan. We must expand before they strike. An older general shook his head. No. Expansion will provoke them. We must fortify. Every world must be armed. Every ship must be battle-ready. As Admiral Reyes Scarred, sharp-eyed, a survivor of Karen 7 storms, spoke, they will come. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon. They fear us because they do not understand us. Because they fear us, they will strike. We will not beg for peace. We will not wait for chains. We prepare. And when they come, we'll show them why, Deathworlders. Do not kneel. The room erupted in grim agreement. It began small. A Sithis scout ship drifted into human territory, pretending to be a traitor. Human patrols caught it instantly. Instead of destroying it, they let it leave. The scout returned with tales of efficiency, order, and terrifying discipline. Next came the Karetha swarm of insectoid raiders. They expected to overwhelm a small human outpost. Instead, they found anti-air cannons, hidden bunkers, and soldiers who fought like predators unleashed. The Kareth lost 3 ships before retreating, and then came the Gel. Their spies were clever, their assassins deadly. But in the shadows of Karen 7, they vanished, every last one. The galaxy had tested humanity. Humanity had answered. The galaxy stood at the edge of war. The Dominion licked its wounds. Rival empires sharpened their knives. The people whispered of rebellion and humanity. Humanity waited. In the silence of their dark world, soldiers trained, fleets grew. Weapons older than the galaxy's empires were reforged and reawakened. No, one knew when the storm would break, but everyone knew who it would fall upon. The galaxy thought it still had time, that humanity would bide quietly on their death world. Content to survive, they were wrong, because deep in the mountains of Karn 7, a new kind of ship was being built. Bigger, faster, stronger, and when it launched, the balance of power would shatter forever. The storm was coming, and humanity was the thunder. For months, the galaxy had whispered of storms, of war fleets gathering, of rulers preparing to strike first, to crush humanity before it grew too powerful. But whispers ended the day the sky above, Karn 7, split open. The day the humans launched their first true warship. It was not just a ship. It was a message. And that message was clear. Humanity would never kneel. The shipyard carved into the mountains of Karen 7 trembled as the vessel came to life. It was massive, larger than any ship humanity had ever built before. Its black hole drank in the light, armored with metals forged under the crushing storms of the Deathworld. Its engines hummed with a power that seemed to shake the earth itself. Crowds of colonists, soldiers and engineers watched from the cliffs as it rose from its cradle. Thunder rolling across the valleys. Admiral Reyes stood at the command deck, his eyes never leaving the stars above. "This is no battleship," he said. "This is a warning." The ship's name burned across its hull in white letters, the Vengeance. No launch could be hidden. Spies across the system saw the fire blazing into orbit. Transmission relays caught the signal. Within days, every empire had seen the images. Sithis hissed in terror. "It is too soon. We should not have this power yet." The Kareth swarmed in agitation. "We must attack now, before they build more." The GL emissaries were silent. They watched, they calculated, they feared. But the Dominion. The Dominion raged. High Regent Vera struck her throne with a clawed fist. "A single ship does not make them strong. A single ship will not erase our empire." Yet even she felt the truth twisting in her chest. The humans had not built a warship to match the galaxy. They had built something new, something different, something dangerous. The galaxy did not wait long to challenge them. A Dominion fleet of 30 ships entered human space. The order was simple: destroy the Vengeance before it could move. Admiral Reyes sat in the command chair as alarms rang. His officers looked to him, nerves sharp as knives. He did not flinch. "Open the gates." The Vengeance surged forward, black against the stars. The Dominion fleet closed in, confident, arrogant, certain of victory. Then the ship's weapons awoke. Not plasma, not ion cannons. Something new. Something terrifying. Coils along the hull crackled. And then a beam of pure lightning split the void. One Dominion cruiser vanished in a single strike. Another tore apart, hull shredded into fragments. The fleet staggered. For the first time in centuries, Dominion soldiers screamed in panic. The Vengeance moved like a predator among prey. Its weapons fired again and again, kinetic rounds the size of tanks. Energy beams that burned through shields, missiles that twisted mid-flight as if alive. In less than 15 minutes, 30 ships had become wreckage. The Vengeance had not taken a single scar. The Dominion survivors fled, their transmissions carrying the nightmare across the galaxy. The humans had not just survived, they had not just fought back. They had unleashed a power no one had expected. From mining colonies to royal palaces, from pirate dens to slave camps, the message was the same. They destroyed 30 ships. 30. With one. The galaxy trembled. The Council of Fear reconvened. In secret, the Sithis hissed furiously. "It cannot be allowed to build more of these ships," the Kareth shrieked. "Even one is too many." That was not war, it was slaughter. The GL emissary's voice was low and calm, but every word dripped with dread. "If they build a fleet of such vessels, no empire will survive." And for the first time, none of them argued, because they all knew it was true. But while rulers panicked, the people of the galaxy did something far more dangerous. They cheered. On slave worlds, whispers turned to open chants. Humans. On pirate stations, smugglers painted the Vengeance on their ships and on oppressed colonies. Rebellions flared, their banners marked with one word: freedom. Because humanity was not just a threat. Too many, they were hope. In the command chamber of the Vengeance, Admiral Reyes spoke to his officers. "Today, we showed them what we can do. Tomorrow, they will come again. With more ships, with more fury. But we will not hide, will not cower. Let the galaxy know we did not ask for this war. But if they bring it to us, we will end it. And when the storm comes, they will learn what it means to face Deathworlders." His words spread across human space, carried on every channel. Soldiers straightened. Colonists worked harder. Engineers pushed their machines to the limit. The oath became their creed. The galaxy thought humanity's rise was a rumor. They thought Karn 7 was a legend. They thought survival was the limit of human strength. They were wrong. Now the Vengeance sailed the stars. And behind it, more ships began to rise from the mountains. The storm had broken.
Ow.
The thunder had been unleashed, and the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy had always believed in thrones of power, thrones of blood, thrones built from fear, where rulers sat high above billions, untouched by the suffering below. But thrones are fragile things, and when the humans rose from the ashes of Karen 7, the first cracks appeared. The day after the vengeance destroyed 30 warships, rebellions broke out on 6 worlds, chains fell, flags burned. The galaxy's slaves whispered a single word: freedom. And for the first time in thousands of years, the rulers of the stars felt afraid. High Regent Vera of the Dominion refused to let fear take root. She summoned every admiral, every general, every warlord. The council chamber echoed with the screams of commanders swearing loyalty. They are insects. She roared. One ship means nothing. We will crush their nest before it spreads. Her fist slammed down, activating a star map. Dozens of fleets lit up, converging toward human space. Bring me their world, she commanded. Burn it until even the ash refuses to remain. And so the Dominion prepared to strike with the largest armada seen in centuries. But not everyone obeyed. On the mining world of Korath, enslaved workers watched the Dominion banners and spat in the dust. If the humans can fight them, why can't we? One whispered. On the Korath swarm worlds, soldiers argued in hushed tones. They killed 30 ships. 30. If we fight them, will we not die too? And in the grand palace of the Sithis matriarch, the ruler's advisors hissed warnings. The humans grow faster than expected. If the Dominion falls, their fury will not stop there. Whispers grew. Doubts spread. Thrones began to shake. Admiral Reyes stood in the war room, maps of the galaxy glowing around him. His officers waited in silence. They're coming, Reyes said. Every fleet the Dominion can muster. They want to erase us before we can build more ships. The officers exchanged grim looks. Can we fight them, sir? Reyes did not smile, did not flinch. We don't need to fight them alone. He pointed to the map. They've ruled through fear. They've enslaved billions. And now those billions have hope. We will. Give them a choice. Stand with us or stay in chains. The officer straightened. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer just fighting to survive. They were fighting to change the galaxy. The vengeance pulsed with light as humanity's first galaxy-wide broadcast went live. Across 1,000 worlds, holograms flickered to life. A human officer appeared, uniform sharp, eyes blazing. I am Admiral Reyes of the human fleet. You have heard the lies. You have heard the fear. Now hear the truth. He spoke of Karen 7, of storms that could strip metal, beasts that could crush tanks, survival where no other species had endured. And then his voice hardened. We do not fight for conquest. We do not fight for thrones. We fight for freedom. If you want it, rise. If you fear them, stay silent. But no, this humanity will never kneel. The broadcast ended, but the fire had already begun to spread. On Korath, miners seized weapons and stormed the Overseer's towers. On the slave moons of Veros, entire camps rose up, chanting the human oath. And on the Korath swarm world, soldiers mutinied, refusing to march against humans. Every rebellion sent ripples through the Dominion. Fleets that should have been united began fracturing. Commanders fought to crush uprisings while still preparing for war. The galaxy was no longer one empire against one species. It was chaos. In a hidden chamber, the rulers of the other empires met again. The Sithis matriarch hissed. The Dominion has lost control. If their fleets fall, the humans will become unstoppable. The Korath Overqueen screeched. Then we must strike before it is too late. But the GL emissary only whispered, No, let the Dominion bleed. The humans will finish what we never dared. And when the dust clears, we will see who remains. 4. The first time in ages, the Council of Fear could not agree, and their silence was more dangerous than war. Still, the Dominion moved. Their fleets 200 strong blazed toward Karen's 7 War drums thundered across the stars. Captains shouted promises of slaughter. Soldiers sharpened their blades, convinced they would drown the humans in fire. The galaxy watched. Would the humans stand? Or would their story end here? On Karen 7, more ships lifted from the mountains. Smaller than the Vengeance, but fast, deadly. Forged in storms harsher than any battlefield. Pilots strapped in, their eyes cold. Soldiers armed themselves with weapons designed not for comfort but for survival against Deathworld beasts. And in the command deck of the Vengeance, Admiral Reyes gave the order that would echo for centuries, signal every rebellion, signal every world. The humans are not alone. The galaxy fights today. The Dominion armada darkened the stars as it approached Karen 7. 200 warships, engines burning like suns, but they were not met by silence. From rebel-held moons, stolen ships leapt to join the humans. From Kareth mutineers came strike craft rushing to aid. Even pirates, grinning with new banners, sped into the fire. The galaxy had waited too long for hope, and now hope carried human colors. The thrones of the galaxy trembled. It's because for the first time, the rulers were not feared. The humans were. The Dominion armada blotted out the stars. 200 warships, bristling with guns and shields, engines burning like suns. Their shadows fell across Karen 7, a wave of destruction ready to erase humanity from existence. For centuries, no empire had dared challenge the Dominion. For centuries, no throne had ever shaken. But today, the storm would break, and the galaxy would remember who stood in the fire. The first salvo came like a rain of fire. Dozens of plasma lances slashed across orbit, targeting the human stronghold on Karen 7. The ground shook. Mountains split. The air burned. But the humans did not scatter. From the storm-forged hangars, ships rose, sleek, jagged. Forged in winds that could tear steel apart, the Vengeance led them. Its hull scarred but unbroken, its cannons glowing brighter than stars. Target their flagship, Admiral Reyes commanded. Let them know where the storm begins. The Vengeance fired. A single lance of energy ripped across space, and the Dominion's lead destroyer exploded into fire. The galaxy gasped. The Dominion expected one world, one fleet, one ship. But they had forgotten what humanity's broadcast had awakened. From the slave moons of Veros came ragged freighters turned into warships, their crews screaming for freedom. From Korath rose stolen Dominion craft, their enslaved miners now rebels with fire in their eyes. And from the Korath, swarm worlds. Entire squadrons of mutineers broke rank and charged. Against their former masters, the humans were not alone. Every rebellion lit another fire in the void, and for the first time in history, the Dominion fleet found itself outnumbered not by power, but by will. The war became chaos. Human ships darted like predators, using stormborn maneuvers no Dominion captain had ever seen. They dove through plasma fire, rolled beneath heavy cannons, and struck from angles thought impossible. On the ground, Karen 7's defenses roared to life. Planetary cannons hidden inside mountain ranges opened fire, punching holes through Dominion cruisers. But the Dominion was still vast, still merciless. Wave after wave of their ships poured fire into human lines. Rebel vessels shattered. Soldiers screamed as plasma burned through holes. Admiral Reyes gritted his teeth. Hold the line. Make them bleed for every inch. And bleed they did. The Dominion's flagship Blood Crown loomed above the battle, directing the slaughter. Its cannons alone destroyed dozens of rebel ships. If it stood, the Armada's morale would hold. If it fell, the war would change. Reyes saw it. His officers saw it. And without hesitation, the humans acted. Full power to engines, Reyes ordered. We take the Vengeance straight through them. The officers stared. Sir, we won't survive. We weren't supposed to survive, Karen 7, Reyes said. His voice was steel. But we did. And we'll do it again. The Vengeance roared. Forward, cutting through enemy fire. Its hull burned, shields cracked. But still, it surged ahead toward the heart of the Dominion fleet. The Dominion flagship turned its guns. Laughter echoing across comes foolish humans. You think one ship can topple an empire? Reyes did not answer. Instead, the Vengeance fired everything. Lances, missiles, railguns, screaming like thunder. The blood-crowned shields held for 3 seconds. Then 4. Then they shattered. The human flagship rammed forward, its prow tearing into the Dominion vessel's command tower. Explosions ripped across the giant warship as its own reactor split apart. The Blood Crown died in a fireball brighter than any star, and with it, died. The Dominions will dot the armada faltered. Commanders screamed conflicting orders. Entire squadrons fled. Rebels surged forward, tearing into the collapsing fleet. On Dominion-controlled worlds, news of the Blood Crown's destruction spread like wildfire. More chains broke. More thrones fell. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear, it was ruled by fury, and humanity had lit the match. When the battle ended, Karen 7's orbit was littered with wreckage. Hundreds of ships burned, their husks drifting through the void. The Vengeance was scarred, its hull torn, but still alive. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge, watching the stars. We held, his officer whispered, "God help us." We actually held. Reyes did not smile. His eyes were cold, focused. "This was only the beginning," he said. "The Dominion will not forgive. Others will not forget. But today, the galaxy saw the truth." He turned, his voice carrying like thunder. "Humanity is not prey. We are the storm." Across the stars, the old thrones crumbled. The Dominion was broken, but not dead. Other empires whispered of vengeance, of alliances, of wars yet to come. But beneath it all, one truth echoed louder than fear: the mightiest Deathworld. Species had finally encountered humanity, and humanity had not. It's just survived. They had changed the galaxy forever. The storm was only beginning.